as an athlete, I had the ability to grow physically with my skill set, and then also through competition of failure. So now, 5 years out of being an athlete, I'm missing that. So that's why we hired a performance coach to help us. Like, where do you find growth in your life?
Sure.
Like, it's one thing to read your books and read all these books, but like to be of action and to have someone tell you you're wrong, or to do it in a different way, or try this. You know, that's the benefit is there's people outside of you that if you can trust or give yourself up to it, they can see it so much more clearly than you can.
Sure.
And that's where I was not very coachable because I grew up around coaching. I knew a lot. I knew
that was
too
like
much.
Too much like your dad to you?
You know, and like I probably knew either equal or to more because I've been in so many situations around the sport where I was not coachable. So I think it actually makes for me to be a better coach because I understand that not everyone is receptive to coaching. But the truth of it is, if you really want to grow, you've got to have people in your life that are willing to tell you you're wrong or to do it differently. So.
What was convincing to me about coaches, they're like, Tiger Woods has a coach. Like, he doesn't need one, but he has a coach, right? Yeah, when you look at Stoicism, most of the early Stoics had sort of Stoic tutors early on who were sort of advisors their whole life. Marcus Aurelius famously has this guy named Junius Rusticus, who's his sort of like, he was his philosophy teacher, but he keeps him with him his whole life. This is like a weird historical overlap that people don't really know, but like Aristotle was Alexander the Great's tutor, and he brought him as he was conquering the world. He was like, Aristotle, you have to come with me. So you have like the most powerful man in the world with one of the smartest people in the world, because they're both benefiting each other. And so I think historically, not only should you have like coaches, you should have advisors, you should have tutors. It's been weird for me because not coming from the sports world, like just the emails that I get from coaches, like you sent me an unsolicited email. Like I was surprised that coaches do that. And then I realized like, oh, in some respects, like it's that they're always interested in learning, they're always learning. And this is a lot of the easy gains in sports have already been sort of tackled. So they look for out of the box things. But it was when I gave a talk at Alabama, Nick Saban sat in the front row, and then he was the first one to ask a question. And I don't remember the question, and it occurred to me sometime after the fact that like there was nothing I could have possibly told. Like it was not even probably a serious question, but one of the things he was doing was probably modeling to his players, like ask questions.
Yeah.
I think coaches are also like one of the coaches are trying to practice what they preach, you know?
Well, and it's interesting because my dad raised my sisters and I to be contrarians.
Okay.
So like growing up, like I would question authority. I would question my coaches. And so my rookie year, I was with the Lakers, undrafted free agent, going to training camp. You know, Coby Bryant was like, we were in training camp and I went up to Coby. I was like, you know, like talking about Phil, like, you know, this old man, like he doesn't know anything. He like stopped, like still. He's
like record scratch?
Yeah, like, he's like, that man, like I listened to anything he said. You know, basically it was like he had dropped his ego and understood that someone knew more than him that could help him get to where he wanted to get. And I think that's the essence of coaching is like someone knows more than you.
Yeah, there's an Epictetus quote, you can't learn that which you think you already know, which I love. And it's not in Ego as the Enemy, but I tell it now in my talks. Ndudi Ibe was drafted by the Timberwolves, and they tried to send him to what was then the D League, which was a terrible name for a league. G League is so much better because it doesn't seem like it's for failing students, you know? Even though it actually stands for developmental league. But there's a quote from him, he's like, I am not a developmental player. Like, you will not send me to the G Leagues. And it's like...
It's not a good sign.
So they cut him, and I think now he plays in Turkey. But like that decision, the decision to not be coachable and to not accept that a coach might know more than you, which is what they were saying. They said like, I have trouble accepting that a coach knows more than me. It's like, of course the coach probably knows more than you. They might not know more than you completely, but they probably know more than you in specific areas in wherever they're criticizing you. And anyways, this decision probably cost him $50 million, you know, what was some obscene amount of money, because if you think you're as good as you can be, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like you are as good as you it will be possible. Yeah.
I've done this job for 4 years as a coach, which I love because I'm able to help others get to where they want to be.
Yeah.
And like, it's pretty obvious now, like the guys who are going to do it. Because they come in with a clear mind, they want to be coached, they want to learn, they're open to new things. And like we've had a lot of success stories. Like we had David Nwaba, who's been a 4-year NBA vet now, came in on a tryout.
Really?
and he never said a word. He never questioned anything. He was, stuck to his job and just kept getting better. By the end of the year, he got a call up. Then he got a year contract the next year. Thomas Bryant, who's in Washington now, he came in as a rookie with us in the Lakers, and he wanted to be there. He took the opposite approach. He was like, I love playing with this. He wanted to play. He wanted to grow.
Sure.
Alex Caruso, who's gotten a lot of fame with the Lakers now, he just wanted to play. He never questioned, why am I in the G League? Why am I down here? And it's really obvious. And those guys inspire me and our staff because they keep you young. We need to learn more so we can inspire them.
The other thing, because obviously sports is not real life. In real life, you might be very good at what you do, but chances are that bumps into a bunch of adjacent things that you're not that good at. And so that's one of the things I think about is who can I buy an hour of this person's time and get briefed on this? Or, okay, maybe hiring this publicist or this, tax consultant or this, marketing person or whatever. It might be really expensive and not make sense to do the math the one time. But if I take from that a bunch of things, then I don't flinch when they say, a year of college is $40,000. But then if a consultant says an hour of their time is $1,000, you're that's obscene. But you might learn more in that hour than you could in a whole class from someone.
Or just the willingness to pay the money to do it will invest you in the process of it.
Totally. Or so coaching is a thing, and there are specific coaches, and look, a lot of coaches outside sports are complete charlatans and liars. So be careful. But I think you can also take a more expanded definition of what coaching is. It can be hiring experts. It could be having coffee or meeting with people who are experts in different things. It can be going to conferences. It could be taking a job or an internship somewhere where by working with this person for 6 months or a year, you walk away with a set of skills or a feedback, or it could be mentorship. We should also expand the definition of coaching because it's more complicated than that.
No, I completely agree. Sitting here to me is surreal because I've read your stuff. I've read the Daily Stoic, the Daily Dad, done the meditations, and I just wanted to learn. It's something that resonated within me. So one thing our performance coach taught was just find someone that you're interested in, and go spend time with it. It doesn't have to be Ryan Holiday. It doesn't have to be Kobe Bryant or Phil Jackson. It doesn't have to be someone famous, but someone in your life that you admire. Go spend some time with them, ask them questions. And I think that in itself, or someone that you respect, that is coaching in its own way, mentorship.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to, I think it doesn't have to be that official, right? It doesn't have to, coaching is you're the head coach, you get to decide whether I play or not, that sort of thing. But it can be people think mentorship is this official, I bestow you, and it's no, it could just be hey, this person answers 1 out of 5 emails that you send, or you know what I mean, or occasionally responds to tweets that you sent. You can have a distant relationship and get a ton of coaching that way. It doesn't have to be this crazy thing. So start small and it can grow.
No, absolutely. When there was a lockout year when I was playing, so usually in the summer I would train with my dad's team. Yeah. The Nuggets at the time. Yeah. And they couldn't. So I had a bunch of free time, and one of my most impactful things was I reached out to Chris Peterson, who's coach of Washington now, or he just retired, but he was a coach at Boise State football, and I reached out to him and spent an hour with him. Yeah. The 2 books he recommended to me, spending that hour has influenced my life in coaching and in life to this day, 15 years later.
And look, for me, I was introduced to Stoicism because I was at a conference and I asked a person for a book recommendation, and then I read that book, right? That's coaching. Coaching isn't also just getting the advice. It's deciding to listen to it. Yeah. Awesome. This is really great, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. Hey, thanks for watching Daily Stoic. If you want to learn more about Stoicism, you can check out some of our other videos here. Subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Keep learning, keep studying, and remember those 4 Stoic virtues: courage, justice, temperance, and wisdom.